name is Kari Miller. I am founder of International Neighbors of Charlottesville. And about a year and a half it's really the people like Rahim who were the inspiration of. Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you for having me for today. I am so honored that you listened to our stories patiently with our broken language. So it was funny, but it was real stories that we tried and struggled to convey to our lovely friends here. So
and the candle of his home is here as well. So yes. It's nice that anew got to come. So have a seat and maybe some questions to be asked. About a year and a half ago, I was invited to be a part of a great committee. And in fact, the pioneer of that committee, Russ Linden, is he still here? If you could. So he really is the one that orchestrated our relationship. I met Aaron at one of these Welcoming Greater Charlottesville meetings, and he's an obviously talented videographer who was interested in creating a film on the refugee and immigrant community. And so we started meeting neighbors, and I think that his initial reactions were much like the larger community. When I had conversations just of shock that, what, Charlottesville has 4,000 refugees in our community? Where are they? And Ola is here too. They're here and they're in Charlottesville, but not necessarily integrated in Charlottesville. So it was wonderful that he could use his talent to bring to life so many of the special attributes that our neighbors bring to Charlottesville. So you know Rahim Hamid and now Ola ManSour, who has arrived from a job and 3 kids, everyone juggling. And also Abel, we have not been introduced, I guess. Abel, who and so Aaron Farrington, if you have not known him yet. So these two made it happen. So they are the technical wonders. So thank you. If there are any questions, either for our international neighbors, Ola and Rahim, or Abel and Aaron, please feel free to stand up. Don't be shy. You probably speak English as your first language, so. Yes, come on up.
Can I just stay here?
Yeah. Or I can bring
No. Yeah, I guess my question is for Aaron, and maybe Abel, but probably more Aaron. What was your inspiration for making this?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for making the film?
Aaron's inspiration for making the film.
I think like Kari said, I was ignorant of, I didn't know that there were so many refugees in Charlottesville, and I was just curious, and I wanted to know more, and then I bring a camera with me because I feel awkward otherwise. I should have brought a camera with me up on the stage. That's all I got.
Yes.
Your camera is quite unique. What's the story behind that? Your camera was quite unique. What was the story behind that?
I started making wet plate pictures a couple of years ago, and it's one of the early forms of photography from the 1850s, and I'm kind of a shy person, and it's hard for me to sometimes strike up a conversation with strangers, even if I want to. But when I bring my wet plate camera, and I have to bring the darkroom with me and all the chemistry and all these things, strangers strike up conversations with me, so I don't have to feel as awkward about striking up a conversation with them. And we have something to talk about, because everybody likes pictures, everybody takes pictures, but most people don't lug a whole truckload full of gear around to make them. And I do. It's like my safety, my blanket.
Your safety blanket, yes, and I think it's shared that it is intimidating if sometimes if you speak the same language, right? And it's nice to have this safety blanket with you to strike up a conversation. But as our refugee neighbors know, if you don't have the common language, it can be extremely intimidating. And I know what I've found is many Americans, many English-speaking folks are very intimidated to connect with our refugee neighbors because they don't speak the same language. And they're worried that they will offend them. And I say, you probably will, and that's okay. You're going to offend them, they'll offend you, but it'll all be in love, right? If the intent is to try to connect and communicate, then not everybody has that safety blanket.
And one thing about the language, when Rahim is talking about, the difficulties of English as a second or third or fourth language, I feel like it's my first and only language, and I'm still grasping at straws with words.
It's really hard when you want to speak a second language, especially a language that is really complicated, like English, with a strong Middle East accent. Sometimes I go with my friends, American friends. I try to pronounce the word professionally, but they don't understand me, so I have to articulate it very slowly in order to make myself understood. It's funny, but it's a daily struggle. We will not be a native speaker. We wish that our children to pick up the local accent, but we have a saying in our Arabic culture say that food will be delicious with different flavors. So we have to accept and absorb and digest the different accent, even though some of them are not really clear. But this is the society that should be diverse, colorful. So the language is not exceptional. It's a crucial part of the cultures and the society. That the things that I'm really amazed with when I came to the US, that American people are really conservative. They never make fun of anyone if they speak a broken language. They always are alert, even though they don't want to correct when you make a mistake. So they try to use it in a different way to imply that you said it wrongly, but they are not saying it straightly, which it comes back to their understanding that they don't want to hurt somebody. They are really patient. When we came here, we were isolated for the first days, but when we started to go out, we saw how warm our American friends, they are welcoming us. They are with passion trying to ask us who we are, why we were refugees, why we are here. So it was kind of a relief that at least somebody is trying to understand that we came here with compelling reason. We don't came here as a immigrant, just want to thrive in a materialistic side. We came here because of the fear, because of the persecution that we were facing in our back country. So,
and we're so lucky that you are here, and that almost 6% of Charlottesville are survivors like yourself. And I tell folks all the time, less than 1% of all refugees in the world get resettled. So the fact that we have Ola and Rahim and so many others in Charlottesville, they're really the top of the class, right? The top of humanity, and so we are grateful. Sir, you had a question or a comment? I'm sorry? Oh, what a gentleman saying ladies first. No, go ahead.
Was your decision to not have subtitles intentional, or?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we went back and forth about it. I wasn't quite sure if we had subtitles, what the subtitles would be, you know, because all these people are speaking in English. And sometimes, like Rahim says, it's broken English, or a word is backwards or something. So would we put the subtitles of the broken English with the backwards words? Or would we put subtitles of what we think they were, what we assume they were trying to say? And what's the, how do you, like, where's the ethics in that or something? Trying to, like, it wouldn't, I don't know if it would be very helpful if the subtitles were verbatim what they said, if they you know, used a tense wrong or a word wrong or something backwards. And after thinking about it for a long time, I felt like this is part of the struggle. I mean, this is part of their struggle of understanding and being understood. And this is the language that they're speaking here now. And let's use that, and let's hope that even if every word isn't understood, I think the meaning of the words comes through. And, you know, Abel and I have listened to all those words over and over and over again, so it's hard to know what it's like for an audience hearing it for the first time. But if you watch this movie 24 more times, you will have it all down.
And if you're left feeling confused and like you lost some of it, then that was the refugee experience in Charlottesville as well, right? They can't understand every single thing that happens in their daily lives. Please.
Just wanted to thank you for sharing this. Thank you, Rahim and Ola, for sharing
You're
your
welcome.
stories. And I hope that the rest of Charlottesville gets to see this some more. Wondered, as a follow-up, if you thought about doing any, or a film on the children. My interactions with the children, your children, are beautiful. So that was the first question. Then also had a question for Kari, if you would take just a couple of minutes to share with everybody here who may not know all of the ways that international neighbors touches the community and how many wonderful opportunities there are for all of us to be involved and part of this.
Well, thank you, Lisa.
Well, for your first question, Rahim and I were talking, and it goes to the second part of your question. And we were thinking that maybe we would make a movie about Kari. Rahim's a journalist. I'm not a journalist. So I was kind of learning how to do this by watching YouTube tutorials. And but Rahim knows what he's doing. So Rahim is going to interview Kari, and I'm going to run the cameras. The next movie is going to be about her.
It's my pleasure.
Well, I think that if it's about me, it will be about International Neighbors. And in answer to Lisa's question, I started International Neighbors almost 3 years ago as a teacher in Charlottesville City, teaching refugee children more and more, obviously each year, and realizing that English was not the most important lesson to teach them when their families struggled with so much more and even returned to their native country when it was too difficult in Charlottesville. So knowing people like Ola and Rahim, folks that I've been in love with, and this whole pocket of people that I feel like the greater community was unaware of. So Ola could probably talk about different ways that International Neighbors and your family have interacted, or different ways that folks like Lisa, who's a volunteer, could be involved. We are an all-volunteer-run organization, so shout out to the volunteers here because you make it happen. You know you are at least 20. Thank you. And if you're interested, of course, go to our website. We'll take you on our volunteer village. But Ola, if you could talk to just about you.
My name is Ola ManSour. I come to Charlottesville from almost 3 years ago. We stay here. We feel we are unsafe and we are busy. And I know Kari from 2 years ago, or almost 3 like this. She was very nice and helped us more about how to know the people, how to help my children to know their friend, how to play with them like this. She knows us from more people and make more friends. We try to know more about them. Yeah.
I think that you can probably agree that one reason that there isn't a lot of interaction, your children were not able to go to summer camp. Rent is very expensive. They have 2 to 3 jobs within a household, and there isn't a cent left over for swim team in the summer. So just getting scholarships like that with some of our wonderful community partners, that's allowed us to help to integrate and celebrate folks like Ola and her family.
Yes, please.
I have a question for our neighbors. First question, why participate in this film? Why tell your story? That's probably a simple question. The second question, do you ever get tired of telling your life story over and over again? First question, why participate in the film? And the second question is, do you ever get tired of telling your story over and over again?
As my friend and Kari mentioned, I am a human rights activist. I was prosecuted when I was in Iran for my human rights activism and my environmental campaign that I have launched back in my country, in my own region that is inhabited with Arab population and was suffering from discrimination. So one of my aims when I try to get out of the country is to be a voice for my voiceless people. So my story is a part of this cause. I have never felt that I am tired to describe and to tell vividly my reason that why I am in the US. So the more people ask me, the more I get motivated to keep on my work in journalism and human rights activism, because here I am looking at in a political from a political point of view, because we're living in the US, the decision maker in the US. So I try to make my people voice heard in the Washington DC. So I'm trying to take advantage of every means in the media with citizen here, everyone to share what I have to say and what I want to do. So that's why I have been encouraged to be a part of this film, not only to speak about my own cause from political point of view, but also I have another responsibility to describe what refugee means. Some people here maybe they just only heard that heard the word of refugee, but refugee carries thousands of unsaid words that you, if you have a time, if you encounter with somebody, to see it and to see what they want to say. So it's a long way of hardship, struggle, legacy of oppression, legacy of poverty, legacy of discrimination. So I try to describe it to the US community, especially here we have university community, so it's a big chance to get people familiar with what we suffered, what we want to do. And Kari is one of those dedicated people that tirelessly help us to be integrated in Charlottesville, at least. She introduced us to different people. She built a kind of network and tried to divide the work between different people who are interested to be a volunteer in the neighbors, international neighbor. So she's really an inspirational personality. She always full of energy, never felt tired. She always smiled, which gives us a hope that we are not alone. We have family. She's our family, and all of you are our family.
If you ever are tired or feeling down, all it takes is a visit to folks like this to definitely get you back on track. Refugees are remarkable. It's true. It's a badge of honor.
You're all very inspiring to us. I hope you know that.
Thank you.
You talk, all of you, about the difficulty with language, but surely learning a new culture and fitting into a new culture has to have been maybe even harder than the language. And I wonder if you would just say a little bit about, from each of your perspective, what it was like to be in this probably very different kind of culture.
We have actually a problem to get along with the cultures, because we are still feeling that we are guests to the new culture. But most of our friends that we have are very patient. They are trying to elaborate the things unconsciously without saying it or educating us straightly. So most of the refugees are alert. They are quickly get adjusted and adapt to the cultures, which is it's a daily struggle. So we are taking notes every day from every event. Even sometimes we are invited to our friends. For example, I say I'm not. I can't dare to go there. It's kind of, maybe I will be kind of clumsy in my approach, how I approach people, but Americans are really patient people. Honestly, they are. I have never encountered somebody who is humiliating or trying to give us that they are superior. They always very humble in approaching us, which gave us this chance to feel safe and to encourage ourselves to be integrated in the society. I'm not able to put my words together. Your question is very hard, but I hope I make myself understood.
And I think that just saying, obviously, a new culture is compounded. Language, both speaking it and listening it and reading it and writing it, there's so many skills to learn, and culture, of course, but you're the teacher, so don't be cursing or picking your nose, because some refugees might be looking, how do you act in this situation or that situation? So thank you for sharing that. And before we go, Abel, he was also the mastermind behind the camera and the music. Do you want to talk about either of those that helped this film come to life?
Sure, I mean, why not? Well, I was kind of brought in through Aaron's inspiration and to help him accomplish some things, and just as a kind of something that we do as friends. And I was inspired through, like talking to the people it was just about, maybe wet plate photography was the point. And I was documenting that process. But once we started hearing these stories, and I was like, well, let's do, like, when do you want to do another one? And, it's just a really interesting kind of situation and people, and so that was very inspiring for me. That kind of drove me throughout each, meeting Ola, Rahim, and everybody is so individual, and so that's been really fun.
He asked me the most hard question. He asked me, always challenge.
That's great. Yes, Abel was the one asking questions often while Aaron was behind the camera.
Yeah, so there was a lot of...
I take this chance to say thanks to you and Aaron and Kari for pushing us to do the film.
And thank you for overcoming so much as refugees and adding so much to Charlottesville. And thank you, everybody here. I know you're great neighbors and you're...
Well, I also want to say that the music aspect is also all music from neighbors here in Charlottesville, and like Justin Esposito here, who teaches at school and is an amazing violin player himself. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, the ethos of our project, is to kind of dig out what's in our own backyards and create something.
Exactly. Know your neighbors, because we have a lot of talent and a lot to connect with. So we're told that our time is up. The mic must be dropped. Thank you again for coming.